Yeah, I'm hoping this is the quietest my house can get because I was like waiting out. Should I start? Should I not start? But yeah, this is Sunday, and yeah, Simon here once again, and we're going to record a weekly Forex forecast. Man, this week has been interesting. I made money and then I lost it. It's crazy, but I'm happy because at least all the videos that I made, you can watch them in the you know in the channel. Of course, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe so that you can get more content like this. And yeah, it was good because whatever I said that will happen happened, and I was just happy. At least it happened. Oh, and you're gonna see me change locations, not today though, but over the course of these weekly focus videos, because I don't have a studio yet, but I'll get a studio. Maybe a few months, let's say 1 or 2 months, I'll be able to have a studio of my own, like those other big pro Forex guys. But in the meantime, let's get to it, I guess. On your screen is everything that had happened in the week, and yeah, I'm gonna be going through all of this, and let me just get to it. So we had said the dollar was gonna tank. Oh my god, I'm just happy. This, there's nothing as pleasing for a trader as having his or her bias right. Like that just sets them, gives them lots of peace. Now I know most traders, this is where they're stuck at. It's okay. Maybe over the next video, like over the course of other videos, I'll be able to communicate how do you actually convert bias into profit, because believe me, you want to be both direct in the charts and correct, and also be able to make money, because you don't just want to mention a bias like, this is a buy or this is a sell. You get, so you want to be both bias correct and financially you have profits. So I'll talk about that in another video. Of course, I had promised that I'm gonna post videos with full transparency and communicate my mistakes. There's gonna be a new video coming out soon that explains the mistakes that I committed in this last week. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll release it on Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, fingers crossed, no promises of course, but yeah, let's get to it. So the dollar, yeah, as you can see on your screen, we had said that this is the zone that we're looking for, like this red zone, for price to reject strongly. And remember, last week was FOMC, this week is NFP. So I forgot something. Force of habit, we're supposed to start with the news and then the analysis, but no worries. I'm guessing this is going to be a short video because it's just a continuation of previous weekly forecasts, and if you really need to like follow through well, you have to like go and watch the weekly forecast so you can get my story of things. But even this video is going to cover most things. So we say this is a key resistance zone for the dollar between 102 and 101.5. So we had predicted that if we want a significant push lower, we could either get one from this zone here, or we could either get one after a sweep. And if we don't manage to get one after a sweep, we'll definitely get a run of this zone. So what happened? FOMC, they came and they kept the rates constant, and this is the follow through. We were right here, we were right there on the news, and then Newsday came and we tanked down. You're seeing all these small arrows because I had predicted that price is going to go that direction. Now, we had also said that this is a key level of resistance that if broken, we may see more downward potential. This small one that I drew up here was just for my setups that I took, and gladly it went well. So now I'm just going to change it and put it there, and also put this indicator there, because we have at the moment deep rejections into these fair value gaps. If we get deep rejections into this fair value gap, this basically means the fair value gap won't hold. Even though we see it's the nature of the dollar to like have deep rejections in the fair value gap, but then again, FOMC news has a beautiful follow-up, like, and it lasts for like weeks, especially if they either hold rates or cut them. So we could expect something like this like downward price from here henceforth, all the way towards 97.4, just as you see. So my bias is once we get a break from that dotted line and subsequently this green line at 99.4, we may get a pullback into fair value gaps and then all the way to these lows. That is my first bias, because also seasonality, we expect the dollar to be a bit bearish at this second half of the year, entering into third quarter of the year, going all the way to December, because as we said previously, dollar has been, you know, range bound for months, like since July of last year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, now how would I approach this? There's two ways I would approach this. I would definitely wait for either entry into this fair value gap from this price point, because it could do that, and then a respect into this fair value gap would also send us low like that. That will be my first order of business, and then my second order of business would be if we get a straight break. But I'm more lean into the entry into the fair value gap first, because this is your significant point of, you know, trade. I trade fair value gaps and swing points, and fair value gaps have a huge score for me compared to swing points like this green line right there. So I am going to take you to my news page. 1 second. Yes, so on the news page, this is what we see right now. We have headlines: Trump is agreeing to cancel the attack. This is going to actually do something to the markets on Monday, because it's a pattern now, and I think people are starting to get used to it. And well, not people, only people who understand how fundamental analysis manipulates the technical these days. Back then it wasn't as much. Like back then it was almost a little bit too obvious how the fundamentals affect the technicals, but these days it's very hard to read, you understand. So yeah, we have, you know, the US is locked and loaded and ready to go against, and I don't know, but then again, it's so much of the Iran-US war is still going on, so let's keep a keen eye on that, especially for this news, because it's gonna either cause the dollar to start up or start low. And if it starts up, we expect maybe, you know, to get the push into this fair value gap right here, because yeah, it will be overvalued because of the news, and then because of oil prices as well, and then maybe a fill of the gap and then a continuous movement down. But that's not key for me in the news. What's key for me is what is going to happen next week, and that's this week. Good. And so we have NFP coming up, as you can see on your screen right there, on Friday at 3:30 p.m. So with NFP is like the number of people employed that are not working in the, you know, agriculture and other sectors. I think that's it. I don't know, I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe, you know, see, while I'm making these forecast videos, I'm getting ideas of videos to make to explain more about, you know, forex and other things. But then again, it's up to you guys. You know, the more you show love and, you know, like and subscribe and follow, the more I'm motivated to make videos, you know, other than. But then again, I still have a few things to discuss with you guys, you know, including risk management and other things. Not oriented to say. So this, yeah, we have lots of US news this week actually. So, and CAD news. So that would be crucial to observe. Very crucial to observe. See, if all of these news come in a week for the dollar, you know, if they're actually lesser than forecast as written here, if they're greater than forecast, then it's good. That means the dollar will buy. And if they're lesser than forecast, we could maintain the bias of a selling dollar or a weak dollar. So if we sell dollar, that means we have, you know, bullish for gold, silver, and other subsequent pairs. So we have PMIs, manufacturer PMIs, we have the employment change on Wednesday, we have the ADP. Now, this is how I'm going to approach NFP. I'm going to approach NFP after I observe the ADP numbers, because usually ADP numbers mirror what NFP is going to deliver. And if they come, if the ADP comes lesser than this number is given, if they come lesser than this number is given, or is it lesser or greater? Let me check. Yeah, so greater is good for dollar, lesser is not good for dollar. So if they come lesser for the number given, and then we may see, you know, a stronger dollar on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and then on Friday now we're gonna get an even stronger dollar because NFP has such a great push compared to ADPs. So that's it for the news. We have nothing much really. After this week is when we have the CPIs, and then we have a rest week, and then we have another FOMC coming the end of August. So let me take you back to the let me just take you back to the charts where we analyze the majors and then the dollar and the gold. Now also please you know, in the comments below you can comment actually what pair you want me to analyze. I could just do other things compared to the majors and maybe look at the yen pairs, because we saw something interesting on the yen this week. In my group on WhatsApp, I was able to call it out earlier in the week that, you know, we may see the intervention strongly, because it usually happens like that. Like you have, yeah, as I said, I'm just excited. I'm just excited for being right, and you're gonna see in my analysis. Okay, so we have the GU. Interesting enough, I took a trade on GU, and I took it from right there, made some money with it. Yeah, good. So we had said previously that we'd be looking at two zones of focus. We gave an overall bias for the week that it's gonna be bullish, and we were true to that, and we expected first a slight pullback. You see this arrow here, a slight pullback, and then we went. So all we were looking for was a close above 1336. Yeah, we got that, a close above, we got the pullback we wanted. So if you check 4 hour, you're gonna see it clearly. So the pullback we got after we closed above was into the fair value gap, and then we short outside. Just, you know, beautiful candlestick action. And so my mistake in this trade, last week I entered early. This week what happened was my stop loss was misplaced. So my plan was to trail this trade to the upside all the way to here, to this point. But Friday we got some series of, you know, consolidations like that, and my stop loss was a bit higher. So right there, I would have just resorted to putting it at this area of 13369, because I entered as low as this point. So if my stop loss would have been here, I would have been safe and still in the trade. And because I'm still hoping for some more buy side for GU, maybe all the way to, you know, 135 and whatnot. So I'm still hoping for some buy side to at least 135.46, and then even greater on, because I still think we have a push. How would we approach this push? As of now, this area of 135 is pretty crucial, because we have a swing high right there, an area where, you know, the fair value gap has been respected and pushed price downwards at that point. So I'm going to take this out because they're confusing. Yeah, quickly. And yeah, so we still have some buy side potential. As I said, first we are going to move all the way to there, and then maybe over time we could see two things. Now, if we beginning of this week break and sweep this, it will be back into the fair value gaps, and then we move up. However, since we still have, you know, NFP coming in, and maybe NFP is gonna print positive for like negative for the dollar, so we could get something like this. And this is wrong. Don't lock it, delete it. Okay, so it's gone. We could have something like this. We could have a close above like that, and then, you know, a shoot up all the way to 137. So this is the move that I'm eyeing right now. Yeah, this one, in our cause of being bullish, this is the move that I'm eyeing. However, if I'm wrong, I would definitely resort to this move right there. That is the bearish move. How would I approach this? So, you know, in the 4 hour, I would be keen to observe if I see any fair value gaps, and if we get a break or if we get a break of this swing high, we close above. This is such a huge zone for price to respect. Remember, NFP is on Friday, ADP is on Wednesday. NFP is on Friday, ADP is on Wednesday, and some unemployment change news on Thursday. So, like, as you're approaching the end of the week, you have to be very, very careful with the trades you take. There's going to be so much manipulation, so much hype right now. So, yeah, you could see lots of sell side before you get buy side. You understand? So that's how it usually is. Like, you get a sweep, you get a strong pullback lower, and then one candle that closes to your TP at 1.3. That's how it usually is. Is this my high class setup? I can only tell if I crossed 1355.48. EURUSD could be good. EURUSD could be good for me to start the week. It's one of my mistakes. I already talked about one of my mistakes in GU. I won't talk about my mistake in this one, though you can see it. But yeah, I won't talk about it. If you can see it, of course, write it down in the comments. Now, what I'll just observe is, yeah, we still see some upside. If we have dollar bearishness, then for the euro, we could have euro bullishness like that. And this is exactly what I'm looking out for. This red box is your bearish fair value gap in the weekly. This is your bearish swing point in the weekly, this one here. So the one with the blue dot at the side. So as of now, we've seen a break and a retest. So I'm expecting more upside. Like, this here is a setup that I'll take Monday 12 a.m. I think this is like my best setup now. So yeah, how will I take it? I will definitely go to the 4 hour and look for fair value gaps and actually begin from there. That's it. So if we see a break above 11546, then that's set for me. I'm actually gonna go up with it. As simple as that. Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar is not as interesting. However, we have now broken the consolidation channel that we were worried about. So this one isn't feasible. Yeah, this one isn't feasible. This red line here is just for analysis sake, as I was teaching a student. We still expect to see price to, break this line right there for more upside. Will I stay away from this? Well, definitely I would. But as of now, we are slightly above this consolidation, which is a good sign. So if we get a pullback into the fair value gap, we are definitely shooting up towards 0.708 and even higher, all the way to 7.2 throughout the year. NZD-USD was an interesting pair, but then again, it was very tricky to an extent. Clearly, we see now that we have closed above for the previous week, so we could expect more upside like that. That is one thing to observe. So another is, let me just send it all the way to there. Another is, if you go to the daily, you will see what I mean. So in the daily, we are exactly in the fair value gap of focus. That one. We had said a couple of weeks back that once we reach that fair value gap, we'll observe the reaction over that zone, and then from there we will see if we could, buy or sell. So now we got a break here, the line that I just deleted. We closed above it. A pullback into this fair value gap is going to send us all the way above. So I'll be keen to observe NZD-USD too, together with EURUSD. However, if this fair value gap fails, because this is a fair value gap in focus, I am going to sell this. Now, currency weakness is also a key factor in this. However, we have strong news that may or may not favor the dollar in one way or another. So that's also key to observe. Now let's go to USD dash pairs, where see, now I'm very interested in making that mistakes video, because I feel like you're going to learn so much of how a trader thinks, the thought process behind things, and what actually leads to the mistakes. Because it's funny, it's really funny. This is like, see, I'll just give you a spoiler. So all these setups like all the last week setups, they happened. All of them happened at once. Like UJ, especially UJ. I just get to UJ after this. UJ, USD CAD, USD CHF, EURUSD, GBPUSD, gold. Okay, gold and silver not quite, but EURUSD, AUSD, and NZDUSD. All of them happened at once, and so now I had to gauge which one is high probability setup and which one is low probability setup. So one mistake, as part of my spoiler, one mistake that people commit is failing to figure out which setup is a high probability setup and which one is a low probability setup. But it's okay. So for us, we have AUSD, and we had said last week that we could expect downside, and I remember keenly saying that we may have a push upwards and then a failure of this gap, then we will tank. So that's what happened. So what are we expecting now? We are expecting price to keep going all the way towards this area here, and once this area is invalidated, then just maybe we will see price breaking and heading all the way down. So dollar weakness would cause this to break, retest, and then tank. Just as simple as that. And if this line holds, we may get a push upwards, even more slightly, before push upwards into the fair value gap maybe, and then either we go down or we go up. So we could have that as well. So USD CHF is not my cup of tea, basically, because of the spreads and everything. But for those who trade it, there you go. I'm looking more for sell side. If not, I'll observe this fair value gap. If this swing point doesn't hold, I'll observe the fair value gap. Yeah, so USD CAD quickly. USD CAD was also beautiful. Still choppy for me though. I couldn't get a setup here, but in the 4 hour I managed to land a few setups. So one was correct, one was wrong, which was fine, but this other one, like, this was just crazy because it took me out stop loss level only to come back to the price of this one and then keep tanking. So we learn in this, and we learn keenly. By the way, what am I expecting? Simple things. I am still expecting for price to break this low and ultimately this one before we see more downside. So this candle here would confuse you. If Friday's candle would confuse you, don't be confused. This just means sellers are still strong in this. I know you've seen it even in USD CHF, and you're going to see it even in USD JPY. Sellers are still strong. So people would see this hammer and feel like, oh no, we have buy side potential. Yeah, you're right, but doesn't necessarily mean that we'll buy from here and continue upwards. Yeah, so we could still see some sell side. However, a pull up to this fair value gap would send it down. Even also UJ now, even also USD CAD, a pullback towards this fair value gap will send it out. Let me just take out the lines and only leave the fair value gaps in question, which is this one here. So I'll be observing this fair value gap. UJ. So I don't trade all the pairs that I show you here. This is a huge disclaimer. Also, this is just financial advice. I'm not forcing you to either take this trade or not. You do whatever you want with this information. But if you're a good trader, or if you're an aspiring trader, you want to learn how to make money, these pairs would be good to make money from. My setups. I trade UJ, gold, and silver. Strictly, I do not trade anything else. I tried trading anything else, and then the best I'd go is for maybe GU, because at least its movement is good, and AU because it has a close correlation with gold. Apart from that, I do not trade anything else. See what UJ has done. Look at your screen. This is a 2-day drop of 3%. Seeing a 3% drop on UJ is not something new, because I've been talking about this for a while. We expect something like this to happen. See, the move that dropped price all the way to 40% had begun with just a 1% drop from the highs. You understand? So this is not something new for UJ. It was actually predicted. Now, my setup last week was, if this fair value gap fails, we get a tank, a deep tank low. Now, if you had observed from my last week analysis, let me delete this. It's confusing you, I know. It's confusing me too. So in my last week analysis, we had a series of fair value gaps being respected to the upside, and then a sharp drop like this. Now, these two drops have unique properties. Both of these are a product of BOJ interventions. Now, what is the difference between this one and this one is what is going to set you apart in trading next week. We have NFP coming, and the nature of the NFP is going to tell us how we are going to approach these markets. Now, we would be surprised to see if actually not more upside, as now we have gotten a deeper rejection into this fair value gap right here. I just want to mark it to be sure. That's why I'm, so this one here, this is now my point of focus, and let me change the color to red so that if I look at it later, I'll see cells. It will mean cells. We are way above, we're way away from the all-time high. We have left the fair value gap in question, which is this point. Now, any close below this point, is going to give me a bias. That is, a close below of this nature, if we get a sweep, that means this is the direction I'm coming back to this fair value gap right here. And if we come back to this fair value gap, that's when we will go down. Understand? So take of it like this. Take of it like we have 2 points that can make UJ sell, and we have only 1 point that can make it buy. And what is that 1 point? As of now, the 1 point is the fair value, is this swing point right here, this area of 157. This is the only region that can cause UJ to buy. So, and it will only buy if it will sweep and close above it. So we get a close above like that, we can still go up all the way towards this fair value gap. And now once we reach this fair value gap is now when we will observe what will happen. You understand? At this fair value gap here. If not, we will then see maybe new all-time highs. But I'm very skeptical with any more all-time highs, especially after such an intervention from the bank. We could expect to see more dollar weakness and more yen strength, because this won't end here. I'm thinking, out of recency, one would say, it may fall down, but you should also be ready to be wrong in this, because people are wrong when they said this is the intervention, including me, and it took us out. So you can also make sure to observe what is to happen to come. If we move up and we move into the fair value gap like that, and then we come all the way lower, that will be good. That will be good for most of us who trade UJ. But then again, if we do not, and we just sweep, we come inside, and then we keep going all the way into the fair value gap, then we just like that. That can also happen. You better be prepared for two sides of the coin. Always be prepared for two sides of the coin. Do not just lean on one side. How would I take the trade if I just need to see a bearish bias? It's simple. I would go lower time frames. Now let's just conclude with gold and silver. I'm gonna start with silver. Silver really disappointed me, honestly, because I had expected, we kept going up, but then again, I still I accepted what was to happen. So as you observe, now we are on a consolidation range still. Very careful once, when you're in consolidation ranges, you have to be very careful. And as I mentioned earlier, we only expect to see a break here for us to go down, or strictly a break at 63. See, we still have so much upside to expect for this. However, I know most traders are usually tempted to get in low, buy as low as possible. But you have to be keen to observe if you are at an area of consolidation like this, because you cannot make money on a consolidation channel. It's very hard. unless you're support resistant trader, and then you can just wait for it to touch resistance for you to sell, or wait for it to touch support for you to buy. Apart from that, it's very hard. Trending markets are the best way to make money, and the only way we're going to get a beautiful bullish trend from this is if we break one of these two levels, 60.9, 63.2. After that, the rest is history, because this is as lowest as silver can get, and I am actually observative of more of a rally upward more than ever, especially because seasonality and all the bias that is coming in right now. Yeah, even though we have the war going to an ease, we may still expect some buy side. Now gold, I also committed a mistake in this. I took a trade without understanding that we're still stuck in consolidation range. I should also take this out right here. See, look, as how I see things now, we can still expect prices to come as low as 388. We are not so far off the feasible point where gold can buy from. We're not far off. However, if we see a break at this point, if we see a break at that point there, then we would expect now more buy side momentum. That is a huge if right there. So a break, a retest, upward, and then now a sweep close below that area of 4210 is when we will see bearishness, and maybe we'll be stuck in that consolidation range. So gold is beautiful to trade, but it's very tricky as well, because I managed to make a few bucks from it during the FOMC news. However, since we are still stuck in this range of consolidation here, it's very hard to actually make some substantial money from this. Consolidations don't make you money. If it is one thing that you should leave from this video, consolidations don't make you money unless you really trade support and resistance and you actually know how to get them. For me, I would say this is my area of support, this is my area of resistance, period. If not that, just do anything else. Yeah, so well, I think that's it for me. Let me just take it back to the news page. Oh no, I haven't done the which pairs are high. What is the word? I've forgotten the word. What's the word? High probability setups. Yes. So, and then we have USD CHF, and then we have so UJ, USD CHF, NZUSD, EURUSD, gold and silver. I'm just gonna delete them. I won't try making money from them this week. However, if I get any opportunities in the middle of the week, I'll update you guys. Thank you so much for having me, and see you out there.